Morning, my name is Father Rayappa. I am from India, belonging to the Diocese of Vellore. Today I am going to talk about Laudato Si, Pope's Francis's encyclical on ecology and environment. And today I am going to read paragraph number 223 from the last chapter, Ecological Education and Spirituality. 223rd paragraph talks about less is more. So it's a low carbon footprint. Pope is writing, Christian spirituality proposes always frugal way of living, being happy with the little what you have. And he says, and he writes beautifully, happiness means how to know to limit some needs. That is a profound writing. So actually Pope is talking about, today we are addicted to consumption. When we think iPhone or iPad or television or car or motorcycle and all these material goods can give us happiness. No. Pope says no, they will not give you happiness or joy. And maybe you are excited for a moment, but that the material things alone will cause you more misery than happiness. So we have to learn to be happy from the little stuff we have already. You don't have to go to big market to buy happiness. The happiness is within you. You can learn to be happy with little things what you have in your home. So Christian spirituality is marked by less is more. Less is more. So I'm going to also compare with Ashoka's edicts, the third major rock edict. Ashoka is also writing the same way Pope Francis is writing, and he says it is good not only to spend little but to own the minimum property. I'm talking about 2,250 years ago, 250 years before Jesus. Okay, so the third major rock edict Ashoka is writing about low carbon footprint. Today, international community is talking about low carbon footprint. That means consuming less energy and becoming a vegetarian and go by walking, that kind of stuff, lowering our carbon footprint. But Ashoka already, he has taught his people in his Mauryan empire to live a frugal life, simple life, not addicted to consumption, and be happy with the little you have. So such a profound teaching. So let me first read from Laudato Si, paragraph number 223. Pope Francis writes as follows. Such sobriety, when lived freely and consciously, is liberating. It is not a lesser life or one lived with less intensity. On the contrary, it is a way of living life to the full. In reality, those who enjoy more and live better each moment are those who have given up dipping here and there, always on the lookout for what they do not have. They experience what it means to appreciate each person and each thing, learning familiarity with the simplest things and how to enjoy them. So they are able to shed unsatisfied needs, reducing their obsessiveness and weariness. Even living on little, they can live a lot. Above all, when they cultivate other pleasures and find satisfaction in fraternal encounters, in service in developing their gifts, in music and art, in contact with nature, in prayer. Happiness means knowing how to limit some needs which only diminish us, and being open to the many different possibilities which life can offer. And today, instead of material goods, we are addicted to material goods, isn't it? So we think material goods can give us happiness. But here are some of the things which can give more happiness than material goods. That is, Pope is enlisting so beautifully. You can find more happiness in fraternal encounters. You go and meet friends and meet your neighbors and meet the poor people, go and visit people in the hospital. So those encounters can give you a lot of happiness, and find satisfaction in these encounters, in service, serving others. Serving others is wonderful. You get more happiness than any market goods. And also develop your own gifts. That is beautiful. Maybe you are gifted to gardening. So cultivate some vegetables and you produce food, and you can share that food with your neighbors. Or if you are musically inclined, and learn music and play music and amuse your friends with music. Share your talents with the neighbors or the people, those who need them. So Pope is writing in music and art, painting. That can give you more pleasure than an iPod or iPad or a cell phone. And then Pope's talking about also the contact with nature. And take a walk and go into the woods and listen to the chirping of the birds and the songs of the frogs and the bee, the waggle dance. And there are so many things can amuse you. I mean, you don't pay anything there. It's all free. In fact, John Muir puts it so beautifully. In walk with nature, you receive more than you expected. Probably you are just, let me go for a walk in the woods. That's what you intend. But when you go for a walk, you get more than your own intention. Probably you get to see a fox there, you get a deer or a rabbit, or two snakes mating, or insects or bees waggle dance. Probably the bee hive, and you can take some honey and also fruits. You see, when you plan to go for a walking in the woods, you never expected all that. You never know what you are going to get there, what is in the store. It's amazing. Each minute and each encounter is enlightening and revealing. God reveals to you. So that is what Pope is writing beautifully. So stop believing in markets. Stop believing that they can give you joy and happiness. They wouldn't. So that is what Pope is telling. So happiness comes only to know how to limit some of the needs, some of the wants you have. There comes happiness. There are so many people in the planet, they don't go to market, they never buy cell phone, they never buy television, they never buy car. Still they live a happy life, a content life, a peaceful life. So I would say maybe 20 or 30% of the people of the 7 billion, they never go to markets. They are very happy with their own homes, gardening, sewing, probably painting, listening to music, yoga, meditation, visiting friends and neighbors, going for a walk in the woods, and taking care of animals and plants. They have bird cages in front of their house, they feed birds. and they feed stray dogs, and they feed other creatures, birds, animals. These things can make us happy and joyful because it comes from the heart, deep from within you. The other stuff only in markets. They are outside. They're going to come from outside and they go deep in, but how far they become part of you, you reject them. What is inside, that is yours. What is outside is not yours. So that is what Pope said. Happiness means how to know, limit your needs. Paragraph number 223 from Laudato Si. Now, I'm going to compare Laudato Si to Ashoka's Edicts. This is a book, Ashoka's Dhamma, Jesus Christ, Kingdom of God. This is my book. I wrote it. And in this book, page number 134, I'm discussing about the third major rock edict. And 2,250 years ago, Pope Francis is writing today, but 2,250 years ago, Ashoka wrote it. The same meaning happiness means, how to limit some needs. Ashoka is putting in his own words, he says, it is good not only to spend little, but to own the minimum of property. So let me read the edict first, and then I will comment on the edict, if at all, if it is necessary, okay? So the third major rock edict, Ashoka writes as follows. I warn you, his name is King Piyadasi, not Ashoka. King Piyadasi. Ashoka was the nickname. Thus speaks the beloved of the gods, the King Piyadasi. When I had been consecrated 12 years, I commanded as follows. Everywhere in my empire, the yuktas, they are subordinate officers, with the rajukas, rural administrators, and the pradesikas, heads of the district, shall go on tour every 5 years in order to instruct people in the Dhamma as well as for other purposes. It is good to be obedient to one's mother and father, friends and relatives, to be generous to brahmanas and stramanas. It is good not to kill living beings. It is good not only to spend little, but to own the minimum of property. The council will instruct the officials to record the above, making it both manifest to the public and explaining why. That is the third major rock edict inscribed by Ashoka the Great, the Mauryan Empire, maybe in 270 BC, 270 years before Jesus Christ. So, I think the edict is very clear. Ashoka is telling at the 12th year of his consecration. That means Kalinga war all over, and he already experienced conversion because he killed so many people in Kalinga and he felt so depressed. At last he is converted, became Dhammasoka. Actually Ashoka was called Chandasoka. What is the Chandasoka? Tyrant, cruel Ashoka, Chand Ashoka. So actually his name is Ashoka, means without sorrow. Soga means sorrow. Ashoka means without sorrow. So I think first he was a man of sorrow, Soka. Kalinga war caused him so much of pain and suffering. And then he experienced conversion. and experienced repentance, and he forgave himself, and he became Ashoka. So that is called Ashoka, without sorrow. So he's talking at the 12th year of his consecration, and he has established all these ministries like Rajukas, Yuktas, Pradesikas. All these people, they instruct in different level about the policy of Dhamma. That means about a moral instruction. Dhamma is nothing but the way of living. It's a moral conduct of each and every person, living in line with the truth and justice and righteousness. So that is what these officers, every 5 years they are supposed to go in his empire to instruct people on the basis of Dhamma. Even in Catholic Church, bishops mostly they go and visit Pope every 5 years. It is known as ad limina visit. Probably Church has borrowed very much from Buddhism and Ashoka. So that's Ashoka has done it 270 years before Christ. Every 5 years they go and teach them. What do they teach them? They teach about moral code and moral conduct, and actually they talk about obedience. You see, 10 Commandments, Ashoka was very familiar with. My research proves, because his bordering kingdom was Achaemenid Empire. So the Hebrew Bible is very much Ashoka is familiar with, and it is so beautiful that Ashoka is keep on mentioning, honor your father and mother, the 10 Commandments. And then he goes on saying that friends and relatives, you should give respect and you should value every human being. And also he talks about Brahmanas and Stramanas. Brahmanas, they are married people, and they are the teachers of the wisdom, Hindu wisdom. And Stramanas, they are ascetics, ascetic monks. And some of them are even atheists, like Ajivikas. They were atheist monks. And Stramana, the word signifies the Jain monks, the Buddhist monks, Ajivika monks, Charvaka monks. All those liberal monks, they were roaming in the kingdom of Mauryan Empire. So Ashoka is not siding with one sect, and he is benevolent to every sect, the believer, the non-believer, and Buddhists, Jains, Brahmins, and everybody. He was very tolerant. I mean, how come we lost in India that sense of tolerance? 270 years ago, Ashoka has written, and he appealed to people to be tolerant and to appreciate, not to be tolerant, and also appreciate other people's faith. That is one step we go further. Today we struggle already to be tolerant, and how are we going to appreciate other faith? So I think India needs to learn from Ashoka, not only adopting his Ashokan capital, that lion, three-faced lion, and his chakra. All those things we have incorporated in our national flag, and even the bank notes, you can see Ashoka's, that capital, the lion capital. But instead of incorporating these artifacts, we can incorporate his teachings. They are more important. So I think our younger generation, they should be exposed to the teachings of Ashoka. That is the reason why I wrote this book. And we need to educate our people. Our ancient people were very much in line with the ecological preservation and conservation by respecting elders, by respecting nature. And also Ashoka writes here, it is good not to kill living beings. Wow! Not to not to kill living beings. 2270 years ago, Ashoka was preaching ahimsa, ahimsa. Please preserve all life on earth. And here comes the best writing of Ashoka in the third major rock edict. It is good not only to spend little. Look at that. Carbon footprint, less. You need to spend less. And but to own the minimum of property. Why do you want to own so much? People are hoarders. Hoarders. People hoard all the time. They don't need it, but hoarding, putting almirahs, putting in the boxes and putting everywhere. There is not even place to walk. The whole house is full of hoarding. So Ashoka says minimum property. Pope also writes beautifully, happiness means how to know, to limit your needs. So hoarding will cause you trouble, hoarding will cost you unhappiness, it will give you depression. So don't hoard anymore. That is what Ashoka is writing. So I'm going to just read some stuff from my book regarding the third major rock edict, and we will finish it. Actually, Ashoka is telling, don't waste or destroy. Okay? The same thing we find in the Hebrew Bible. It is called Baal Tarshit. The ancient rabbis in the Torah and Talmud, they have designed a law which recommends people not to own unnecessarily and don't destroy any God's creation and don't waste. That is called Baal Tashit. So it is based on the Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verses 19 to 20. So I'm going to read what Baal Tashit is all about. The most important teaching in this edict is that Ashoka appeals to a moderation in expenditure and a moderation in possessions. That is more relevant to our contemporary civilization. It's about carbon footprint. It is good not only to spend little but to own the minimum of property. Ashoka writes in the third major rock edicts. In the Bible, it is mostly understood and implied that being wasteful spending is wrong. Based on the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verses 19 to 20, long before Ashoka, Jewish sages designed the law of Baal Tashit, which means don't waste or destroy. It can be interpreted as environmental ethics. Over the centuries, rabbis elaborated on what it means not to waste anything. We are told not to use more than what we need, not to needlessly